This is Rob Liefeld. Kai Review is going down.
Hey guys, just finished watching Krypton Season 2, Episode 1, Light Years from Home. Interesting. This was an interesting episode. So I kind of liked this episode. I guess it's kind of interesting. I just watched this right after watching Swamp Thing and stuff, and that show is just kind of super interesting. And if you're not watching Swamp Thing, I would definitely recommend watching Swamp Thing. I just guess I have to compare the two because I just feel like and I just much prefer Swamp Thing over Krypton, even though Krypton's it's in season 2 and the other one's not and stuff. But and we know that Swamp Thing's slowly going to start to go down as the production stuff starts to shut down and stuff. I guess since they didn't get to do the full thing they were going to do and all that stuff. But I don't know. I just recommend that if you're watching this show, you're definitely going to love Swamp Thing, and I think you can obviously see the difference. Only in episode 3. Of Swamp Thing with, going into episode 1 of season 2 of Krypton, you could definitely see that there's a way bigger budget on Swamp Thing, and that's something that just kind of, when I've literally watched one and then watched the other, you can notice the difference a little bit in production just a little bit here. So to get into this episode, so it's really interesting. We kind of start off, we see that Corvex is born, so that'll be cool to see kind of where things kind of go with that. We still don't have... we still don't find out who is end up going to be Jor-El or anything like that. I think that'll be kind of interesting to see as to where things kind of go, since seg-el is obviously going to have Jor-El. But I could see him, like, if this show goes on for like 10 seasons, whatever, or whenever it goes on for a while. If it goes on for 10 seasons, then you can have him have Jor-El be born at the end, and that's the end of it. And and then you have Jor-El, and then there's his timeline, or you could have it do Gotham, and just if they go to however long this show goes, you have the last season where he does a little bit of a time jump, and you see you see seg-el and seeing Jor-El being born. I think that's going to be quite interesting to see as to kind of where things could go with that. So we see Brainiac ends up tricking seg-el into kind of trying to escape the Phantom Zone. And I guess they end up on Brainiac's home planet. Now, I googled it, and in the comics, his home planet is Callooh. So I think that's kind of interesting, although it looks very much like Earth and stuff. So that'll be kind of interesting to see as to where things go with that. I guess it is Callooh, and they're just using the woods or something like that to try and save money on the budget or something. But it is kind of interesting there. It looks kind of different. So it looks kind of interesting seeing that. And that's where we see... and then we see that General Zod is kind of plans to raise Corvex, since General Zod ends up capturing Corvex and is it Nyssa-Vex? So that's going to be interesting to see as the way things go. Does he end up raising her and all that stuff? That could be something interesting. Although we do see throughout this episode that at the end of last season, which for me this show, since it's only 10 episodes, which is interesting, I really like it, but they should have put out a few more recaps for the episode, because if you go on YouTube, there are very few recaps. There's no super in-depth. I'm looking for like a 10-minute video that goes into super detail into everything that recaps all of season 1. Whereas all you have is like a 4-minute recap, which does the basics and stuff, but it's not really. That's just the stuff that I'm gonna get when I start to watch episode 1 of season 2. That it's just gonna come back to me. Start to remember all that. Whereas if they put out a full-on 10-minute deep dive into it, then you could really kind of get everything you need, because there's a lot of things with Light to Zod. I completely forgot as to where her story ended, and how things kind of and so then when I first started watching the episode, and she's kind of all working for General Zod and all that stuff, it's like, where did it come from? I kind of completely forgot as to how we got from that point, how she got here in this character development. So I just wish they had put a little bit more effort into kind of recapping it out there. So we see that General Zod plans to raise Corvex and stuff, so that, again, that's going to be interesting to see as to where things kind of go with that, and how things will go with him and Nyssa-Vex. Then we see that seg-el ends up killing. We find out that he killed Brainiac. And then we see seg-el and Stephen Strange, and Adam Strange get captured by Lobo. So I think Lobo looks kind of interesting here. He looks... It's all practical effects and stuff, just makeup. So I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, it should be for a character like that. But he's also, from what I know about Lobo, he's supposed to be kind of a little bit taller. He's supposed to be 8 feet tall, just too tall to be, to be done by any like actor or anything like that. So I think what they could have done is made him look a little bit bigger, made him look like 8 feet tall, whereas he looks like he's just a little bit taller than Stephen Strange, Adam Strange, and Seg-el. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see as to where things go in the next episodes and stuff. But it just kind of, I don't know, it needs just to be a little bit more than just straight up makeup and stuff. They should have kind of just make him a little bit bigger, or just got a bigger guy, taller guy to do it, like someone who's almost like a basketball player height, 7 feet and up, someone who's just kind of a little bit really, really tall, just so that the height difference between everyone else is drastically known. I mean, if you look at him, you look at Swamp Thing, which is only in episode 3, and there's not too much of him next to too many people, but he towers over everyone in every episode because the guy is tall. So I think that would have been something interesting just to go with this. But at the same time, you can't just get someone who's tall. You have to get someone who can also do the acting and that they want for the role. So I think that would be interesting to see as to where things go with this character. So all in all, I definitely can't wait to see as to where things go. If I'm not mistaken, I thought I heard some rumors online that there might be trying to use this as a spin-off series for Lobo. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things go. I like the look of him a little bit. I'd like to see things just changed a little bit more. Maybe kind of change. We'll see how things go with this, how they do the character. But I mean, after watching a show like Swamp Thing with such a high budget, I kind of wish that everything had a high budget. Like even this show, I would say I think the show is just doing very well with the budget. It doesn't show its flaws too often with the how cheap or not expensive the show is. The lack of budget doesn't show too often, but it's just when you're straight up comparing, side by side with Swamp Thing, you can't help but notice. But it's definitely not as much of a jump, from the CW show Leaps to Swamp Thing as from Krypton to Swamp Thing. Is very, very closer to a Swamp Thing budget than it is to a CW budget. But we'll have to wait and see as to kind of where things could go with this. I think with this show could be really interesting with a little bit more, and just kind of maybe doubling the budget would be perfect. But I think I really like this show and definitely can't wait to see as to where things go. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
We're here for Kyle Reviewed on YouTube, the very best Kyle Reviewed channel on all the YouTube Kyle Reviewed channels. You got that? You got that right? Thank you for watching Kyle Reviewed. Deadpool and I thought it was fantastic. You need to like, you need to subscribe. You know how it's done. Like, subscribe. Right, DP? All right, Kyle Reviewed. Cool channel.